is great news for Hindus and Buddhists in India. In just 2 months, they will be able to trek to Mount Kailash from the Indian territory. Up until now, pilgrims had to travel to Tibet to start their journey. But now, they will be able to do it from their own homeland.
Mount Kailash is one of the most mysterious mountains in the world. For many years, people have shared stories about strange things happening there. Some say the mountain cannot be climbed. Others believe it hides an ancient secret. Now, new claims say Tibetan monks have finally spoken about what they know. They talk about old beliefs, strange events, and mysteries that still have no clear answers. But are these stories based on truth, or have they grown into legends over time? And what if the mountain is hiding something after all? Join us in this video as we discuss the details. Tibetan monks reveals the chilling truth about Mount Kailash. Far away in the western part of Tibet stands one of the most mysterious mountains on Earth. It is called Mount Kailash. It is not the tallest mountain in the world. In fact, many mountains are much higher. Mount Everest rises much higher into the sky. K2 is known for its deadly slopes. Many other mountains are taller, steeper, and far more dangerous. Even so, people have climbed them. Some climbers have reached those peaks more than once. Others have climbed them without extra oxygen. Some have even reached those summits despite old age or physical disabilities. But Mount Kailash is different. No one has ever stood on its highest point. There is no confirmed record of any human reaching the summit. This makes it one of the greatest mysteries in the world of mountains. Most mountains that remain unclimbed are impossible to reach because of their shape or because they are too dangerous. Mount Kailash is not believed to be impossible to climb. Experts say it would be a very hard climb because of its steep rock faces, changing weather, and loose rocks. Still, many believe that reaching the top is possible, yet nobody has ever done it. This has made people ask one question for many years. Why has nobody climbed a mountain that is believed to be climbable? The answer is not found in the mountain alone. It is found in the respect people have shown it for hundreds of years. Mount Kailash stands in a lonely part of western Tibet. It rises from the Gangdisi mountain range, far from the busy climbing routes that attract thousands of visitors every year. There are no crowded base camps around it. There are no long lines of climbers waiting for their turn to reach the top. The mountain remains peaceful and quiet. Because it is so far from modern cities, it has kept much of its natural beauty. Visitors who see it for the first time often say it feels different from other mountains. It stands alone, with a powerful presence that is difficult to explain. One of the first things people notice is its shape. Unlike many mountains that have rough and uneven sides, Mount Kailash has 4 clear faces. These sides seem to point toward the 4 main directions of north, south, east, and west. From a distance, the mountain looks almost like a giant pyramid covered with snow. Many travelers, explorers, and researchers have all described the same feeling. They believed the mountain looked too perfect to be natural. Its shape seemed carefully designed instead of being formed by nature. Scientists have studied the mountain for many years. Their explanation is simple. They say the mountain was shaped naturally through millions of years of erosion. Wind, ice, rain, and changing temperatures slowly formed the mountain into the shape seen today. This explanation is accepted by geologists around the world. Even so, many people still find it difficult to ignore how different Mount Kailash looks when compared with nearby peaks. Its smooth lines and balanced shape continue to capture the imagination of everyone who visits the area. In 1999, the mountain became the center of another debate. A Russian researcher named Ernst Muldashev, visited the region and later shared an unusual idea. He believed Mount Kailash was not created by nature at all. Instead, he suggested that it was a huge, man-made pyramid built by an ancient civilization that disappeared long ago. He also believed that several smaller mountains around it had been placed there on purpose as part of a larger design. His theory attracted attention because it sounded exciting and mysterious. However, scientists and archaeologists carefully examined the idea and found no evidence to support it. There were no signs that people had built the mountain. No discoveries confirmed the claim. Today, experts continue to agree that Mount Kailash is a natural mountain formed by geological forces over countless years. Even though the theory was rejected, it showed how strongly the mountain's unusual appearance affects those who study it. Many people cannot help wondering if there is something special about it. Whether someone believes the scientific explanation or enjoys the mystery, one fact remains unchanged. Mount Kailash continues to stand alone as one of the world's most unusual mountains. It is not famous because of its height. It is not famous because it is the hardest mountain to climb. It is famous because no human has ever reached its summit, even though many believe it could be climbed. That simple fact has made Mount Kailash one of the greatest mysteries on Earth, and it continues to capture the attention of explorers, researchers, pilgrims, and ordinary people from every corner of the world. Rumors claim that Tibetan monks have quietly protected a secret about Mount Kailash for centuries. Allegedly, the mountain is not a natural formation, but a massive structure built by a forgotten ancient civilization. Some believe hidden chambers lie deep inside, containing lost knowledge that could rewrite human history. The monks are said to forbid anyone from climbing the summit, not only because it is sacred, but because they are guarding whatever lies beneath. What if the real reason no one climbs Mount Kailash isn't just because it's sacred? What secret do Tibetan monks claim has been hidden for centuries? Stay tuned for more. A mountain, honored by millions. Mount Kailash is respected for a reason that goes far beyond its shape or its height. For millions of people, it is one of the holiest places on Earth. What makes this mountain so unusual is that it is considered sacred by 4 different religions. These faiths were formed in different places and at different times. They have different beliefs and traditions, yet all of them point to the same mountain as a place that should never be climbed. In Hinduism, Mount Kailash is believed to be the home of Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati. Hindus believe Shiva lives there in deep meditation. Because of this, the mountain is not seen as ordinary land. It is viewed as the home of a living god. Climbing to the top would be seen as entering a sacred place that belongs only to the divine. Tibetan Buddhists also give the mountain great respect. They believe it represents Mount Meru, the center of the universe in Buddhist teachings. It is also believed to be the home of the deity Demjok, who represents perfect happiness and spiritual awakening. For Buddhists, the mountain is not simply a piece of rock. It is a powerful spiritual center that deserves complete respect. In Jainism, Mount Kailash is linked to Rishabhanatha, the first Tirthankara. Followers believe he reached complete spiritual freedom there. Because of this, the mountain holds a special place in the hearts of Jain believers. Long before Buddhism became common in Tibet, followers of the Bon religion also honored Mount Kailash. They believed it was the place where heaven and earth meet. It was seen as the center of the world where blessings come down and prayers rise upward. It is very rare for four major religions to honor the same place in such a powerful way. This shared respect has lasted for many centuries. It has also helped protect the mountain from being treated like an ordinary climbing destination. The area around Mount Kailash is also important because it gives birth to four great rivers. These are the Indus, the Brahmaputra, the Sutlej, and the Karnali. These rivers flow in different directions and provide water to millions of people across Asia. Long ago, nobody knew exactly where these rivers began. The region was difficult to explore because of its rough land and harsh weather. An Indian monk and geographer named Swami Pranavananda spent many years studying the area during the 30s, 40s, and 50s. He walked through the mountains again and again until he correctly identified the true sources of the rivers. His work helped people better understand this remote part of the world and is still respected today. According to Tibetan tradition, a great Buddhist teacher named Milarepa competed with a Bon master named Naro Bonchung to decide who would hold spiritual authority over the mountain. The challenge was to reach the summit first. The story says Naro Bonchung used magical powers to fly toward the peak. Milarepa stayed behind and calmly meditated. At the last moment, he rose to the summit on a beam of morning sunlight and reached the top before his rival. Over the years, every serious interest in climbing the mountain ended quietly. Some were stopped by bad weather. Others simply chose not to continue. Instead of becoming known for deadly climbing accidents, Mount Kailash became famous for something much more unusual. It became known as the mountain that people chose not to conquer. For hundreds of years, making Mount Kailash one of the most respected and mysterious places anywhere on Earth. If Mount Kailash is only a mountain, why did the world's greatest climber refuse the one chance to stand on its summit? And what did the Tibetan monks tell him that changed his mind? Let's learn more. The sacred mountain that even the greatest climber refused to conquer. Long before Mount Kailash became famous around the world, one event quietly changed the way many people looked at the mountain. In 1985, the Chinese government reportedly offered legendary climber Reinhold Messner a legal permit to climb Mount Kailash. This was an offer that almost no climber could imagine refusing. The mountain had never been climbed, and reaching its summit would have secured another place for Messner in the history books. But instead of accepting, he shocked everyone by saying no. His decision surprised the climbing world because he had already achieved things many people believed were impossible. He had climbed Mount Everest without bottled oxygen and later climbed it alone during the dangerous monsoon season. He also became the first person to climb all 14 mountains on Earth that are higher than 8,000 meters. Compared to those dangerous peaks, Mount Kailash was much lower and seemed far less difficult. Yet it was the one mountain he refused to climb. When people asked why, he did not talk about bad weather or dangerous cliffs. Instead, he said that conquering Mount Kailash would mean conquering something in the hearts of millions of people. Before making that decision, some people claimed climbers suddenly felt the need to turn back after getting close to the mountain. Others spoke of strange forces, spinning compasses, or stories of people aging unusually fast after visiting the area. There were also rumors that the mountain was not natural at all, but a giant pyramid built by an ancient civilization. These stories spread quickly through books, television programs, documentaries, and the internet. Even today, they continue to attract attention. Some people also believe they can see sacred symbols on the mountain, including the shape of an ancient swastika formed by shadows and rock lines, as well as natural patterns that resemble the face of Lord Shiva or the sacred symbol Om. Another popular claim says Mount Kailash is exactly 6,666 kilometers. At the foot of the mountain are two famous lakes. Lake Manasaravar is known for its fresh water and is linked with peace and purity, while nearby, Lake Rakshastal is a saltwater lake associated with mystery in local tradition. Despite all the rumors, Tibetan monks continue to give a simple explanation. When asked why nobody climbs Mount Kailash, they simply ask, why would anyone want to? For them, the mountain is sacred. Instead of climbing it, pilgrims complete the Kora, a 52-kilometer walk. So what ancient beliefs have kept Mount Kailash surrounded by mystery for centuries? Keep watching for more. Ancient beliefs and the mystery surrounding Mount Kailash. A recent change has brought hope and excitement to many Hindu and Buddhist pilgrims. For many years, people who wanted to visit Mount Kailash had to travel into Tibet before beginning their sacred journey. Now, a new travel route allows many pilgrims to begin part of their journey from Indian territory. This change has made the pilgrimage easier for many worshippers who have dreamed of visiting the holy mountain for years. Thousands of people see this as an important moment because it allows more believers to continue a tradition that has been followed for hundreds of years. Even with easier access, the mountain itself remains untouched. Pilgrims still walk around the mountain instead of trying to climb it. One of the most talked about stories connected to Mount Kailash involves changes people believed happened to their bodies after spending time near the mountain. Before climbing Mount Kailash was officially banned, several experienced climbers studied different routes to the summit. Many believed they had found possible paths after examining the mountain from a distance. But as they moved closer, they discovered that the upper slopes were far more dangerous than they had expected. Huge walls of ice, steep cliffs, and unstable ground made climbing extremely difficult. Even skilled mountaineers who had climbed some of the world's highest peaks found Mount Kailash far more difficult than they first imagined. The weather around the mountain also became another serious problem. Climbers and travelers often reported that clear skies could suddenly become dark with heavy clouds. Strong winds and snowstorms sometimes appeared without warning. These sudden weather changes made climbing even more dangerous because they gave people very little time to prepare. Many visitors believed the storms seemed to stay close to the mountain, while nearby areas remained calmer. Although weather in the Himalayas can change very quickly, these unusual reports added to the mystery that has surrounded Mount Kailash for generations. Tibetan monks have always explained these events in a different way. According to their beliefs, the mountain is protected by powerful spiritual forces that cannot be seen with human eyes. It is a sacred place that should be honored through prayer, humility, and peaceful worship. The ancient Bon religion, which existed in Tibet long before Buddhism arrived, also speaks about hidden places beneath Mount Kailash. According to Bon teachings, there are sacred lands below the mountain that cannot be reached by ordinary people. These hidden places are believed to become open only to those who have reached a very high level of spiritual understanding. Whether taken as symbols or as spiritual beliefs, for believers, Mount Kailash remains one of the holiest places on earth, a mountain surrounded by faith, history, respect, and mysteries that continue to inspire people from many different cultures. What do you think about the mystery of Mount Kailash? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for watching as we explored the mystery history, and ancient beliefs surrounding Mount Kailash. If you enjoyed this journey, please like, subscribe, and click on the next video for more fascinating mysteries and hidden stories from around the world. See you there.